Hey guys, what's up? Today I want to talk about my 5 favorite video game genres. That's right. And I thought about making this video a long time ago, especially for my main channel, Erick Landon RPG, but the idea of this video kind of didn't fit there. That channel is most likely of a 95% exclusive to RPG content, and talking about other genres just kind of fell off. Maybe I should have done it, maybe I should have done this months ago, but I don't know. Just decided to make this video instead on this channel, most likely because with this video we'll get a pretty general idea of what kind of games I'll be talking about, because in this channel it's not going to be only RPGs, it's going to be also about other types of video games, other genres. It's also going to be about books. I'll be talking about my own books. I'll be talking about also maybe movies, maybe some music, but most specifically about video games in general. So far it's been mostly about RPGs. Every single video that I have uploaded before this one has been about RPGs, but today, consider this the first video in which I'm going to cover other genres. So from now on, don't be surprised if you see other types of games covered in this new second channel of mine. Alright, I usually want to make tops start from top to bottom, and I'm gonna start backwards here. Instead of talking, from 5 all the way to number 1, I'm gonna do it backwards. Why? Because number 1, it's like extremely obvious. I have an entire channel dedicated to that genre, called Erick Landon RPG. So it's kind of pointless to talk about my first favorite video game genre ever, which are RPGs, of course. Maybe a little bit of insight so we can move on to other genres. The reason why it's my favorite genre is because I've always loved stories, I've always loved characters and stories and development and all that stuff more than anything. I also absolutely love fantasy, and JRPGs, RPGs, especially JRPGs, have give so much to offer and have given me a lot regarding that. So I am a writer, and I've been a writer since I was like 15 years old, and RPGs have these like really big stories. You feel like you're sometimes reading a novel when you play these games, and that's why I love them so much. And they offer a lot. Other genres just offer a few hours of gameplay, a few hours of my life, and RPGs are like 20, 30 plus hours of my life. So I get so immersed into them, and that is the reason why I love RPGs. Their gameplay mechanics also have a lot to offer, and I don't know, I have like sort of like an addiction to their gameplay mechanics, turn-based, strategy, action, hack and slash, yeah. All of that, I just love it. But yeah, I needed to start with the first one because it's way too obvious, like it's my favorite video game genre ever. Alright, moving on to my second one, it's, well, forgot to say my favorite RPG. I'm gonna say which is my favorite video game on each genre. Is Chrono Cross on the PlayStation. That's my favorite RPG, my favorite RPG. Okay, my second favorite video game genre is fighting games. Fighting games, me and fighting games have a long history, but to cut things short, when I was very little, my mom took me and my brother to a store. She needed to buy some stuff, and there was an arcade machine there. It was one of those really old Capcom arcade machines, and with Street Fighter 2. Not the first one. The first one is called Fighting Street, and yeah, not a good game. Yeah, Street Fighter on the arcade. I had never played a single fighting game before, and my brother, he was all like, he's my older brother, and I'm gonna kick his ass. Older brothers, they kind of need to prove their point, prove they're superior and they're better. And I had never played a fighting game before, so I chose Blanca out of just randomness. I don't remember which character he chose, and just out of button mashing there on the arcade machine, I kicked his ass. I'll never forget that. Yeah. And Street Fighter. Maybe I played other fighting games during the following years, but the first, maybe at friends' houses, but the first fighting game that I owned was when we got our Super Nintendo, where I was like 11 years old already, and the PlayStation was already out, and the Nintendo 64, Sega Saturn, and we were just starting, me and my brother and sister, we were just starting with Super Nintendo. And it came with Street Fighter 2, and it also came with Mortal Kombat 2. I never played the first Mortal Kombat until much, like years later, like 20-something years. And I obviously had a blast with Mortal Kombat 2, with Street Fighter, and I immediately became a fan of fighting games. I started playing others eventually on the PlayStation, Marvel vs. Capcom, on the PlayStation 2, on PlayStation 3, and today I'm a huge fan of fighting games. And I wasn't such a big fan before. I mean, I've always loved fighting games, but I wasn't like, wow, like my second favorite video game genre, until I met my friend Oscar, who's my best friend. I have a channel with him in Spanish called Discusión Gamer since 2 years ago. And well, when I met him, that was like 5 or 6 years ago. He's a huge fan of fighting games. That's his favorite genre. And I don't know, every time I go to his house to shoot some videos up for our channel, we always kind of need to play one fighting game at least. Maybe not all the times, but most of the time we play fighting games. So we're both big enthusiasts of fighting games. And the reason why fighting games is my second favorite genre of video games is thankfully mainly because of him. So yeah, fighting games. Moving on my favorite fighting game, well, I guess you could say this Street Fighter 2 on the Super Nintendo, but not really. That's just out of nostalgia. My true, real favorite fighting games are the Persona fighting games. Maybe because I'm a huge fan of Persona, but also because I just love Arc System Works, which is the company who develops them. And I love the Persona fighting games. I just love them to pieces. And I also like and enjoy a lot everything Arc System Works does when it comes to fighting games. Third favorite video game genre, that'll be beat 'em ups. Beat 'em ups. I grew up with beat 'em ups. What can I say? The first beat 'em up that I played was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game on the NES. I loved that game when I was a kid. Beat it like 10, 20 times, I think. Became a huge fan. And then when we got the Super Nintendo, I finished what? I beat and played and beat what I consider today my favorite beat 'em up ever, and that is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4, Turtles in Time on Super Nintendo. My god, that is a masterpiece of a game. That is the absolute best beat 'em up I've ever played in my life. I'm a big fan of beat 'em ups. I grew up with Double Dragon, the Turtles games, and eventually beat 'em ups went to 3D, and well, not a big fan of 3D beat 'em ups, but 2D beat 'em ups, it's my jam. I love them. I'm a huge fan of Dungeons and Dragons, Shadow over Mystara, Tower of Doom. Those Capcom games are beat 'em ups among the best. I'm a huge fan of Vanillaware. Odin Sphere is a beat 'em up RPG. Dragon's Crown is a beat 'em up RPG. I love them. You guys know I'm a huge fan of that. So yeah, when it comes to beat 'em ups, man, I can keep going. Beat 'em ups. My fourth favorite video game genre will be hack and slash. And I know beat 'em ups kinda over time evolved into hack and slash. Hack and slash games, most of them are beat 'em ups with swords, I guess. I'm a fan of the Dynasty Warriors franchise, Samurai Warriors. Not a big fan, but I love them. I don't own a single one of them. I don't own them, but I'm a fan. Yeah. Now the truth is I do like them a lot. The Warriors games, these Musou games that I've been training for a while. I played Dragon Quest Heroes on the PS4, the first one. I haven't played the second one. The first one it blew my mind. I'm not a big fan of Dragon Quest, but that game was like awesome. I love hack and slash games. Dynasty Warriors. One of my favorite hack and slash games is definitely 99 Nights on the Xbox 360. Got a lot of hatred when it first came out, a lot of bad or mixed reviews. Right now it's considered a cult classic, sort of like a hidden gem, and I'm so glad because it really is a great game. When I first played it, I was like, this is great. I don't know why people hate this game. Sure, it's difficult, it has a lot of difficulty spikes, and it's a little bit unbalanced, but overall it's a great game. But my favorite hack and slash game is Dante's Inferno. Yeah, believe it or not, I am not a fan of Devil May Cry. I'm not a fan of God of War. I have a lot of respect towards those franchises. God of War is just, I don't like the characters, the atmosphere, the protagonist. I've never been a fan of Greek mythology, except when it comes to Saint Seiya. And by the way, there's this beat 'em up on the PS3, Saint Seiya beat 'em up called Battle for Sanctuary, something like that on the PS3. Great game, great beat 'em up in 3D. But when it comes to hack and slash, I just can't get into God of War or Dante's Inferno or Devil May Cry. Sorry, I can't. But Dante's Inferno, even though it's a God of War clone, rip-off, I love it. I love it, and I also love Alice Madness Returns. I know it's considered as a platformer, but it has a lot of like hack and slash elements with the knife and all. I love Alice Madness Returns, but a pure hack and slash, Dante's Inferno. And moving on to my 5th favorite video game genre, it was sort of like a tie. 3 genres here, platformers, because I grew up with them. I also grew up with Mario games, so yeah. Environmental puzzle and survival horror. I'm sticking with survival horror because when it comes to platformers, yeah, I played a lot of them, but I wouldn't call myself a big fan of the genre. And when it comes to environmental puzzles, that's kind of like, I love them. I love Limbo. I love Little Nightmares. I love Inside. My God, what great games. But I played environmental puzzles like 2 years ago, I believe I started. So I'm fairly new to the genre. I'm a newbie when it comes to environmental puzzles, which is why it can be my number 5. My number 5 is definitely survival horror. Each year I have been less and less a fan of the genre because I'm staying away from it. Not on purpose, it's just nothing catches my attention anymore. But when I was like 20 years old, I used to play a lot of them. I grew up with the Resident Evil titles on the PS1. Freaking love those games. Resident Evil 1. My PlayStation, when I got it, I was 20 years old already. And pretty late, I know. PS2 was already out. But when I got it, it came with Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 3, Nemesis, Dino Crisis. Resident Evil 2, I got it like several months later, and I also love the heck out of it. I know everybody hates the tank controls. I also hated them at the beginning, but over time I got used to them, and I just love them. And then came Code Veronica, which was also great. Resident Evil 0, that was the last time I enjoyed a Resident Evil game. After that, it was Resident Evil 4, and don't take me wrong, it's a great game, but I just didn't enjoy it. To me, that's not Resident Evil anymore. From that point onward, the series took an entirely different route, and they're just not Resident Evil games in my opinion. They're great games, all of them, but not all of them, but some of them. I just couldn't get into them, you know, being used to the tank controls and the true survival horror games. And Resident Evil 4 and onward are just like action games more than anything else. And I also got into Silent Hill. I love the first Silent Hill on the PlayStation. I played also Silent Hill 2, and I liked it. It was great. I never finished it. And then I played Silent Hill 3, and I was like, nah, for some reason I just couldn't get into it. Silent Hill 4, the room was the same, and from that point onward I was like, yeah, I'm done with Silent Hill. So I'm a huge fan of the first one only. My favorite survival horror game is Haunting Ground. If you watch my PS2 collection video, you saw it there. It's there. It's one of the holy grails in the PS2. And I just love the heck out of this game. It's just fantastic. It's true survival horror. I mean, you being chased. It's a Clock Tower formula. It was supposed to be Clock Tower 3, but it's a long story. They changed it to Haunting Ground. And it's just great. You know, it has a lot of fan service, but even without the fan service, it's just, my God, what a masterpiece of survival horror game. And well, that concludes my video. Those are my 5 favorite genres. Like I said before, I'm starting to get more and more into environmental puzzle, so maybe in a few months or years that will stay as my 5th favorite video game genre. Who knows? But in the meantime, I grew up with survival horror games. That's my 5th one. So now that is all that is left, my friends, is for you to answer this question in the comment section below. What is your favorite video game genre? What are your favorite video game genres? Your top 5, your top 10 maybe, why not if you want to? And what is your favorite game on each of those genres? That's it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends. See you next time!